Good afternoon, dear students. Today our topic is about different approaches in teaching English. There are three different approaches. The first one is direct approach or audiolingual method, functional approach, and communicative approach. Let's look through each of them separately. So what is the audiolingual method? The audiolingual method focuses on the comprehension of language at a largely mechanical level. Examples of mechanically structured activities might include repetition or substitution. The teacher is in control of the lesson, and students can often successfully participate without any understanding of meaning. Second one is functional approach or functional approach. These are usually based on situational language needs. According to Skehan, these activities often follow a presentation, production, and practice 3 Ps. The last one is communicative approach or humanistic approach. These methods mimic a natural acquisition of language. For example, how a child acquires language first. Language is acquired using meaningful input with no formal grammatical instruction. It is assumed that English language learners will naturally acquire the forms of language when this approach is used. There are 3 options in language teaching. First, focus on forms. Second, focus on meaning. And the last, focus on form. So, what is focus on form or forms? Parts of the language are taught separately and step by step so that the acquisition is a process of gradual accumulation of parts until the whole structure of language has been built up. At any one time, the learner is being exposed to a deliberate, limited sample of language. Focus on meaning. The essential claim is that people of all ages learn language best inside or outside the classroom, not by treating the languages as the object of study, but by experiencing them as a medium of communication. Language is organized in terms of the purpose of which people are learning language and the kinds of language performances that are necessary to meet those purposes. And the last one is focus on form. Overtly draws students' attention to linguistic elements as they arise accidentally in lessons whose overriding focus is on meaning or communication, often consists of an occasional shift of attention to linguistic code features by the teacher and or one or more of the students, triggered by perceived problems with comprehension or production. Advantages of focus on form. The learner's attention is drawn precisely to a linguistic features as necessitated by a communicative demand. Arguments against grammar instruction. The study of grammar promotes knowledge about language, not how to use the language. We acquire our first language without any explicit knowledge of grammar. The natural order which languages are learned precludes the influence of instruction. If communicative competence is the goal, then classroom time is better spent in engaging in language use. Arguments for grammar instruction. Without explicit instruction, learners enter language often fossilizes. Grammar instruction may act as an advanced organizer, helping learners to notice features of language when they are ready. Learning infinite rules can help to simplify an otherwise daunting and complex task by organizing it into neat categories. All the students expectation about language learning often includes grammar instruction. Learning grammar structures allow for more creative applications of language. So, how to teach grammar or teaching grammar? Teachers need to consider how to present grammar to the students' approach, what options for dealing with grammar should be used, and which area they will focus on during practice, accuracy, fluency, or restructuring. So there are two approaches, deductive approach and inductive approach. So deductive approach, teaching through rules. The rule is provided followed by provision of examples in which the rule is applied. Inductive, teaching through examples. Students are provided with several examples from which a rule is inferred. Source of inductive instruction. Realia, actions, worksheets can often be structured to inductively lead students to a grammar rule. Authentic text. After listening to a dialogue or reading a text, students can answer the questions to highlight certain grammatical structures. This may be done by use derived rules, dialects, recorded conversations. I mean, grammar will be conveyed from the context. Options. Teaching through practice, drills, activities that are structured to allow only one correct answer. Exercises, open-ended grammar activities. Practice leads to the creation of continuum ranging from the text manipulation activities to text creation activities. Practice. Text manipulation activities provide students with sentences that they will be required to operate on in some limited manner, such as fill in the blank, make a choice from items provided, substitute another item, or transform into another pattern. Next practice activity, text creation activities. Require learners to produce language creatively using the target structure. These activities are not truly communicative because the students are aware that the purpose of the activity is to practice a specific structure. Communicative grammar tasks. Provide students with genuine opportunities to communicate using language that is known. These tasks differ from text creation activities in that the students are not restricted in the language that is used. As a result, because students are not focused on the use of a particular structure, tasks must be designed to ensure that the desired structure is utilized. Integrative grammar teaching. So what is integrative grammar teaching? Combines a form based with a meaning based focus. Form focused instruction and corrective feedback provided within the context of communicative interaction can contribute positively to a second language development in both the short and long term. Students should be able to learn explicit grammar rules as well as have a chance to practice them in communication in the authentic or simulated tasks. And 3Ps, presentation, practice, production, based on the grammar translation method in which grammar explanations are allowed by exercises, follows the premise that knowledge becomes skill through successive practice and that language is learned in small chunks leading to the whole. Views accuracy as a precursor to fluency. PPP first stage. In the first stage of the sequence, the teacher introduces the language and forms to be studied. Second stage. In the second stage, students practice using the language and grammar introduced by the teacher. This stage is often characterized by decontextualized drills. The focus of this stage is the accurate use of language. The last stage, after students have demonstrated that they can accurately use the language and forms introduced, fluency is developed by providing opportunities for students to use what they have learned in a less controlled environment. So, disadvantages of PPP. Second language acquisition research demonstrates that practice does not lead to perfection. Language learning does not occur in a linear fashion influenced directly by the instruction that takes place. Relies heavily on the use of decontextualized and meaningless drills. So next is task-based language teaching. Accuracy and fluency are addressed in TBLT with linguistic focus supporting the task or emerging out of difficulties experienced during the task. This maintains the focus on communication rather than learning particular forms and promotes the relevance of grammatical instruction. Pre-task. Lexicon is introduced and learners are engaged in brief activities to communicate their schemata about a particular topic to equip them to participate in the main task. Learners are actively engaged in completing communicative tasks. Language focus. Learners' errors are highlighted and specific activities are utilized to allow them to practice using the correct language forms. Accuracy addressed through focused tasks. Focused tasks are tasks that are likely to require the use of particular form. For example, writing a recipe will require the use of the imperative and decorating a room will require the use of prepositions. So, TBLT framework. Willis advocated addressing accuracy through the structure of lessons, pre, while, and post-language tasks. The first one is pre-task phase. In this phase, the teacher will introduce and define the topic, use activities to help students recall or learn vocabulary and phrases, provide examples of how the task may be completed, provide instructions for completing the task. Task phase or while task. During this stage, the students complete the central task of cycle individually in pairs or groups. While the students work, the teacher ensures students understand the task and are being productive. The teacher monitors time closely and observes how groups are functioning. This information may be relied to students to promote effective group functioning or may be used in formulating future groups. Language focus phase. In this phase, students move from a focus on meaning to a focus on a form. The purpose of this phase is to develop accuracy by directing students' attention to particular language forms and use. So we have discussed different approaches in our lessons. So your homework will be finding new approaches that are used in the 21st century. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.